YouTubers! Big hug to my friends down in Australia. Really story about what happened with trends in the housing market. I'll leave a link at the end of this video you could click on. Trends in the housing market was flagged by visual appearance or stealing visual content from FIFA soccer. No soccer in the background. I don't even have cable. Nothing to do with soccer. But FIFA flagged my video when I discussed Australian housing crisis. The whole section I did, and then the section I did about Scotland reaching 55,000 homeless people in Scotland. And then when I was talking about Dublin, Ireland, and when I switched back to Australia after, all those sections were flagged as content taken by FIFA soccer. Like I stole FIFA soccer stuff. So it's all FIFA. So I'll leave a link below to that so you guys can see that video. So I'm going to try and see what we could do for trends in the housing market. I already wrote a long-winded email to YouTube, but you know, YouTube and Google, you have better chance of deciphering hieroglyphics on your own than trying to get through with them or contacting something through an Ouija board than getting in touch with Google. So anyways, can Australia weather its housing downturn? No, it can't! Why? Okay, people, guys, if you just jump in on my channel and finding out who is this goof going on there talking about this housing all the time, and he's not even from Australia, and damn, he's a Portuguese. Well, it's because I'm seeing what's going on for the last 7-8 years, and people saying, well, Mike, if you predict a crash long enough, it's going to happen. Well, no, this is the thing about this crash. It's weird. Too much underlying things. Too much things holding. You know, it's like one of those swimming pools, those above ground pools. For some reason, after a couple of years, it can't hold the weight of the water, so you start putting 2x4s around it to help support, and then more 2x4s. And then you're going to start have buckling on the sides, and it's like, I need to get a new pool. Well, that's when things crash, right? Well, what's happening in the Australian housing market, they play the supply, and the UK, and Canada, and America, and all the English-speaking countries. It's a supply and demand issue. We're in an oversupply right now. Oversupply. Landlords doing rent evictions, doing renovations on current landlords they've had for 10 years and kicking them out so they could renovate to get more people to pay money. But now they're leaving, the places are staying empty because there's no supply and demand issue. There never was. Can Australia weather its housing downturn? That is the main question. There seems little doubt that the housing will drag on Australia's outlook through 2019. So there's little doubt. Okay. Indeed, growth in home lending and building activity has historically been tail that wags the dog as far as Australia's growth cycle and sentiment is concerned. Yet, much debate rages over whether unfolding correction in the housing is more familiar, periodic problem for far ahead in growth. Okay, guys, you can scratch the growth because it's done. Okay, unless the only way they do macro, if Australia can start destroying its currency as it comes in, start destroying currency and limited the amount of currency that's out there. 2, raise interest rates. Okay, but now they're just printing money like crazy because they got to keep this Ponzi scheme afloat. 2, raise interest rates. Or 3, create 300,000 blue collar private sector, not public sector, private sector jobs, or 100,000 white collar jobs. That's the only way Australia, I could see them kind of plateauing and kind of balancing out, is if they create 400,000 in total, 300,000 blue collar and 100,000 white collar jobs. In the next 6 months, private sector. But no one's investing in Australia. Why? Because everything's too expensive. And with all the restrictions on lending, who's going to open a business when you can't borrow? You can't even borrow to buy a house. How the heck are you going to buy a business if you can't even buy a house to live in? Credit crunch. That brings the economy to its knees. Well, we see households' wealth, housing prices, and housing activity correct to multi-decade lows in years ahead. That is very correct. Guys, everything that Australia had in 2018 is gone. Every gain you made in 2017 is gone. 5 factors that could turn Australia's property market slump into a crash. So they don't actually list 5 things. So I'll go to here. It is noted in a note released this week. He nominates 5 individual factors, some for local resources from abroad, that could see the housing market correction turn into a housing market crash. So, the availability of finance for developers has seen significant. So, developers are getting money. The RBA deputy governor. So, remember what's happening. Hold on, let me read this one here quick. Another possibility is squeeze on household incomes, and the interest only loans are converted into principal interest loans over the coming period. Okay, guys, people living in Canada and people in the U.S. in 2007 and 2008 know what I'm talking about. Those jumbo loans, and pay off your car and all your other debts in one balloon loan, and with a teaser rates, very low teaser rates at 0.5 and 1% teaser rates to get people to go in and take the bait. And a lot of people with interest only in Australia, interest only, haven't paid down any of their principal in the last five years since they've got these loans, and now they're coming up to fruition. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. People are going to take a hit in the wallets, and a lot of people can't take the hit in the wallets. And I don't want to see this come down and let everybody, become homeless and stuff. I don't want that. We wouldn't have this homeless issue if housing wasn't so goddamn unaffordable for the average person. You work 2 jobs. Where you live? In a tent. You work 2 jobs. Yeah, I live in a tent. This is the Australian dream. This reflects the high share of new loans in 2016 and 2017, right? So they're coming up to fruition in the next 2 years, right? Were issued the interest-only terms, but these loans are due to automatically reset to principal, and interest loans are in the coming years. Importantly, some of this has already occurred, with the share of housing loans and interest-only terms falling from 40% of the national total 27% over the past year or so, he says. So, you've got a perfect storm here. You got the investors, you got the foreign investors coming in and buying out the country. Heck, hey, yeah, let's sell them everything. Hey, you know what? Let's sell them our highways too. Hey, let's sell them our water companies. There's a company in Brazil, a small electric company, I think it's Sao Paulo. One of the second or third biggest companies. Sold it to some Chinese investors, and now they're having problems with that electric company down in Brazil. I had a friend tell me the other day. It's like, "Oi, Mike, tudo bem? Olha, a gente tem problemas aqui com essa eletricidade. So we got problems with electricity. What's going on down there in Brazil?" HSBC, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Bank of China. Forecasts further drop in Australian housing prices. HSBC, PLC Australian chief economist. Nationwide, prices will fall between 3 to 8% in 3 to 8% in 2018. 3 to 8%. Try like 17 to 20, man. Unless, like I said, unless they could actually create 500,000 middle class. The thing is, if someone gave me $1 million, which is nothing, and said, "Mike, I need you to invest this $1 million in Australia, and let's help the economy, let's help grow jobs." Like, I'm a business guy, so I'll open a business. That's what I'll do. But the problem is where would you put $1 million in Australia? It's a really tough choice. Real estate's shot. Their commodity market is kind of hit and miss. Their battery lithium ion looks okay, like a good field maybe to invest in. It's everything's in the pits. I mean, Perth looks like it's trying to get resurrected right now in Perth. It's like, where do you put $1 million in Australia nowadays? You know, I mean, $1 million doesn't even get you lunch for a year. So, let's move on. MB Fun podcast. How bad the Australian property market crash is? It's bad, people. This week's Weinburn Australia housing update. The slump in action. Clearance rates tightening off. Revelations, it's a biblical thing, of huge amounts of liar loans. I call them teaser loans. And, of course, falling house prices. Our take. So this is it here, guys. If you guys want to listen to this podcast, it's an hour long. It's pretty good. It's in depth. It's MB Fund Podcast. How bad the Australian property crash is. That's what it is. Look it up if you guys want to hear it for an hour and see what they got going on. Or if not, you can go ahead and surf my own channel and see what I got going on. Type in Australia in my search on my channel. You'll see videos going back years and years and years. But what I don't understand is, why are some people coming out now or in the last year? "Oh, you see? You didn't put this and you didn't put that in place and you guys should have done this." It's like, whoa, Captain Obvious. Yeah, I was talking about putting years ago, getting underwriters in those banks, underwriting. Then they created the Royal Commission, which is now basically scringing and tightening the screws on a lot of these banks and charging bank fees on people that have died 20 years ago and still charging their accounts instead of calling their next of kin. Hi, next of kin. I have you on this bank account. It's got like $1 million in it, but we're charging you $2,000 a year in fees. God forbid if he gained any interest off that account, eh? A lot of garbage going on in Australia. Lots of stuff with the whole Westpac thing, and all those banks are being scrutinized. Everyone throwing each other under the bus. No one takes the blame. Oh yeah, you know what? I'll spend my 3 weeks in jail, and I'll pay my $3,000 fine. You know, I've ruined I don't know how many thousands of people's lives. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget the subscribe button. Big hug to everybody. Don't forget, Mike in the Night tonight. We're going to be talking about everything in the world, anything in the world. Add me on Skype, Mike Martins 1980, if you want to be on the show and talk about whatever you want. Thanks for watching.